for joining us today here in our good friend's garden. My name is Jillian. I am a summer staff here at Connections Early Years Family Center. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking you through a bug hunt today, and that is part of our outdoor educational experience where I'm going to help you and your children learn all about ways to get outside, be healthy, and learn through the use of our natural environment. So if you're ready, let's go take a look. I had the idea for this bug hunt actually the other day when I was out here and I was weeding in our good friend's garden right near here, our sunflower patch, and I found a little insect. So this insect actually wasn't that small. He or she was probably about the size of my hand, and that's because this was a polyphemus moth, and they can grow anywhere from 11 to 15 centimeters wide, which is about the size on this here ruler. So pretty big, actually almost bigger than my hand. And the really cool thing about polyphemus moths is even though they emerge from their cocoon, they're only alive for 1 to 2 weeks before they lay eggs and die, and yet somehow they still get that big. We're going to look for our insects today in our garden. Now just one little thing I wanted to add to this is a really great way to do outdoor education, because outdoor education is going to take you into an uncontrolled environment. So for us that means that we're going to be taking risks, and we're going to be doing things that are hands-on and all fall into experiential learning. So we're going to be looking at things such as exploration, judging risks, working on our coordination. All of these things are things that you can't do in an indoor classroom, and that's why it's so important that you and your child get outside each and every day. So we're going to start here looking for some insects. One thing about bugs is that they really like those dark and moist places. They like to hide kind of where it's a little bit slimy, a little bit wet. So a really good place to look for them is underneath old logs like this one. So we're just going to tilt this up and take a look at what we find underneath. So if you look in here, you can see all sorts of bugs. So we have our centipedes in here, some potato bugs, some slug babies, lots of different funguses growing, and also what appears to be some baby snails. And I'm not even sure what this one is. So there are all sorts of bugs in here, and they're super amazing. This is a really good chance for you to also get your child asking some questions and engage their critical thinking. Like, what do you think these bugs are doing? And why do you think they're doing this? And if your child's a little bit more adventurous and they like that hands-on learning, you can even pick up one of our bug friends and you can hold them in your hand so you kind of get a feel of what they're like when they move. Just remember that because they are bugs and living creatures, we want to be very gentle with them and put them back exactly where we found them, because they are living creatures too. Another great place that you can look for some insects are on the undersides of leaves and on some of our plants. So here in our natural garden we found these little orange bugs that are literally covering one of our natural plant species. So this is an obedient plant, and as you can tell, there are just dozens and dozens of these little insects on here. Honestly, I don't know what they are, but that's part of the fun of the bug hunt. Is if you're not sure what it is you found, you can either look at a bug book or maybe do an online resource, and you can do a little bit of a bug hunt on the internet to see what exactly it is that you found. We're going to look under this rock. This one's not as dark. It's not in the shade, it's right in the sunlight, but we're going to see if we can find anything fun hiding out in here, and maybe we'll see some new things this time. And actually, we found something right here. So, I'm no spider expert, but I do know that this spider is getting ready to lay its egg sac. So it's a really cool way to teach kids about how animals and insects in the environment create new environments and new insects in ways that we don't always get to learn in a classroom, because in classrooms we're not supposed to be bringing spiders inside. And the same thing when you cover them up, just try and do it in such a way that you're not disturbing anyone or messing up their homes. You might also find some insects hanging around your windowsills at home or in other little corners. So here we found another spider making its nest out of some of its thread. But look, maybe you'll see some insects trapped within it, and you can kind of take a look at that life cycle of an insect. And let's take a step into our TV, and we're going to see if there's any bugs waiting in our enclosed spaces. So over here we have a spider, and instead of laying its nest like we've seen so far, it's actually spinning a web to try and catch any insects that might be unfortunate enough to fly into its web. So our last place that we're going to be looking is right near here, our Good Friends Garden TV. We're going to be going around the back here. And we're going to pull up one of our garden stones. Now this is probably the darkest area of our garden, very moist. So we're going to see just what's lurking underneath these rocks. Not a lot in this one, mostly just some potato bugs. And that's the fun part, is sometimes there's not always a lot there, so you really have to work sometimes to explore. So for this last one, we have found some of my favorite insects, which are our garden worms. And again, we're going to be very gentle as we pick them up. That guy's not having it. But somewhere over here, you can see this little feller. So this is just your regular earthworm, but these are really important friends because they cultivate our garden and they break down things like old plants, old leaves, and food scraps, and they turn them into nice rich soil that we can grow our plants in, like our newly planted hosta garden here in our Good Friends garden. Just one quick side note about our worm friends, just to clarify any confusion. Technically, worms are not insects, they are invertebrates, so they don't fall under the bug category. But I'm including them in our bug hunt because you'll find them in many of the same places that you would find our insects, and because they're still very important to our ecosystem and super fun to learn about. So the last thing we're going to do is just look at a couple of books that are really good to take your child through the world of insects. So a great one for preschoolers, this is a very advanced book, so you're not going to do it with your toddlers, you're going to wait until your child's maybe 4 to 6, is I Can Read About Spiders. This book is fantastic because it takes you through different types of spiders' homes. So you can see how different spiders make their nests, how they weave their egg sacs, sort of like what we found underneath our rock today. And just different little tidbits about these spiders that some of your older learners, maybe some of your kids who are a little more interested in reading and exploring, are going to love. So other types of books that we can look at is this one. This one's really good for our toddlers. It's a little bit more advanced still. Got some nice full sentences, different little facts, so it's definitely a very educational book. I'm just going to take you through different types of insects that you might find depending on the habitat you look at. So whether that's dragonflies or crickets or any of these other things, it's a really great way for you to read about them with your children. You'll probably learn a little bit yourself the same way I did when I read it. And you can ask your child questions and see which of these bugs you found in your garden, and maybe wonder where you might find some of the ones that you haven't seen yet. And lastly, for your infants and kids who are about under 3 years of age, we have 2 very simple books. One is Who is in the Garden, written by Phyllis Gershator. And it's just a simple book about different things you might find in your garden. Not just insects, sometimes if we're looking for bugs, we might see other friends like rabbits, or some frogs if you're lucky. All sorts of things that you might see during your insect hunt. And my personal favorite, because it is Raffy. We have Spider on the Floor, which is a sing-along, so it's great for any kid who's not quite able to read yet, but you can sing it along to them and hopefully they'll learn the words, and it's just a really fun way to end your day. When you're done with your child, hopefully they've had a really great immersive and natural learning experience. I hope you all had fun doing this with your children as well. It's super fun no matter what age you are, and everyone has their favorite insect. For me, that was the Polyphemus moth. And maybe your child likes finding potato bugs that curl into balls when you poke them, or looking at the earthworms that kind of dig little holes in the ground. Whatever it is, it's going to be a fun learning experience, and had fun doing our bug hunt. So thank you again for watching our video, and thank you for connecting with us.